Hello, and thank you for downloading this episode of Discussing Documentaries with Rick Wharton and myself, Matt Wills. Today's a biggie, man.
It's a strange one. You may look at the duration on this episode and think, what the fuck have these two done?
Has Matt been allowed back into the editing suite? Because all his ramblings, Rick's just left them all in.
It's Matt hasn't been allowed of the editing suite. This has took a while. So here's what's going on today. So basically, we'll get into everything that me and Matt have going on at the minute. But a few weeks back, as we've alluded to, the directors of the pickup game and one of the contributors, Minnie, offered to do an interview with us, and it was fascinating.
Yeah.
So we decided to leave all that in.
Yeah.
And this little brief interlude is us basically catching up and giving a brief synopsis of it. But I do recommend you check this documentary.
And just to warn everyone, I am currently recording this at my dad's place in Spain. He's not rich, but he's a villain. So that's why he lives in Spain. And yeah,
he's took all that sweet Patreon money and he's fucking...
I've absconded.
He's Ronnie Biggs it. If you can see this, I'm in my attic wearing a woolly hat. Matt is shirtless.
I am naked, pretty much. I'm
on a balcony right now.
I'm not even wearing underwear, right? So I just want to let you know I'm almost naked. And poor Rick has got to stare at... When the screen popped up, Rick's looking at my naked body. Like, the poor man. Has he not suffered enough by being in Chesterley Street?
Matt is one of those people that is too comfortable being shirtless. Like, he's making a point that he's shirtless. It's not...
I've taken my piercings out for you. That does help.
You've taken the piercings out. Jesus,
just for you, Rick.
I know that you're a nutcase, and that's because it probably makes a tinny sound off your nipples for the podcast recording.
So I am sweating like Brendan Dassey sitting on the table here. I'm absolutely melting. This country is not designed for little redheads like me. I went to the supermarket yesterday, and I'm trying to eat healthy. Their ham-on section, right? So where they've got those huge cooked hams, and they just cut the slivers off the leg. That is bigger than the vegetable section in the supermarket.
Oh, mate, yeah. When I went to the Barcelona markets, you just got, like, cow legs hitting in your head like a hooker duck prize. You're just like, who's buying this? This does not look safe.
You've got a little Rocky training in the corner. There's so much meat hanging around.
It's like they had a barbecue a week ago and they're not leaving until people take shit.
It's a great country. If only we were still part of Europe, and it wouldn't have taken me 2 hours to get into the country.
Oh, God, yeah, but that was a nightmare.
It is, because they have to... Yeah, it's all scanning machines now as well, which absolutely pisses my sister off. This should be human beings. I'm like, no, but human beings unionise, and human beings get sick and need time off. That's why the machines are taking over.
Matt, well, still on the side of the companies. No, it's inefficient. No, forget the people need to feed their families. British Airways have a bottom line to their shareholders.
Exactly. How else do you think? And I'm not on the side of business. I'm just saying. That's why. That's why it is. I'm all for
that humans shouldn't have rights, otherwise they'll lose what little they have.
But the beautiful thing about Spain, the supermarket here doesn't open till it's past 9 in the morning, and it shuts at 5:30. And they won't open on Sundays, and it's so you can have family time. They're not all about the work, which I love.
When I first started work, it was fucking, you got paid extra on a Sunday and double for bank holidays.
Yes.
And then at some point, everyone went, why the fuck are we doing that? Fuck yous.
Yeah.
What, you going to work somewhere else? You worked in Quicksilver for 6 years, Janice. It's not fucking happening.
Unionise. Go on, I dare you.
Man, I missed that job. I stole my lunch and dinner every single day from that one. They had a promotions aisle right next to the back shop. Like back by the black flappy curtains. and whatever they put on promotion was my brunch. And it's just like we literally marked down Beer de France bottles in our little stubbies to 15 pence, and I don't think I would have been 18 at this time. I would have been like 16, 17, and I had like at least 11 16-year-olds come down and buy 2 crates each.
Nice.
And the till girl's like, fuck, at least they're a bargain against they're flying off the shelves. It's just like the 7 dwarfs just passing beer to each other.
Who gave Rick the pricing gun? Just give up your gun and your badge, Rick.
We sat in the cafe once, and this guy comes in, and all I hear from the kiosk is, he's nicked them cans. So we ran after him, me and this guy, and ran after him. We chased him up by the train station. There's like a bridge on the train station, and we kind of cornered him. He went, listen, I paid for the Snickers. I'll give you a can each to leave us alone. So we sat there and had a can with him, and walked back and said he got away. You don't get to have jobs like that anymore. I have seen, like, I got to be honest, when you used to have a rubbish job, it used to be fun. Now it is fucking a slog.
Yeah.
They've worked out they only need one human barely functioning in these places, and if you fuck up, someone else is going to take your place.
Yeah, and they're going to work you to death.
Yeah, it is upsetting what's happened to British working. But just before we get into it, one of the reasons why we've been able to put this interview together is one reason is while Matthew's our family in Spain, but also my dog Ari has been through it this week, the last few weeks. We found, I'm sure, obviously I've mentioned the reactive dog before, but a few weeks ago we found some lumps that said it was okay if it gets bigger, take them back. We took him back, and he had to have 7 lumps that looked very sinister, one massive one out of his chest, and we've been waiting on results for that since last Thursday. And like for 10 years we've had this dog, and our whole life is built around it. I've slept on the floor downstairs with him since getting these removed, in his bed, because he refuses to go elsewhere, and he'll rip his stitches if he goes upstairs. But we got a call yesterday saying he got the all clear.
Ray! Oh,
Yeah.
mate.
Fucking
Oh,
can't
mate.
even tell you how freaked out I was.
I'm chuffed. I was proper worried. When I spoke to you the other day, I didn't ask about you or your missus. How's the dog? Tell me about the dog.
Yeah.
What's going on? What did the vet say? Is the vet going to email me a report? What's going on here? I adore that dog.
Here's where, like, since he's reactive, the vet is usually a nightmare. Like, in London, you go into a cupboard that should be an off license, and then we'd hopefully get the last appointment of the day to get him in and stuff. But there's a lady in this Chester Street vet, this vet Amy, who we're not allowed to move out of Chester Street as long as we've got Ari now, because she's that good. With him, Cave met him, give him treats. Ollie loves it to death, so he guns in a side door to let him in, like Steve Buscemi and Conair. And she lets him do it, and she did the operation, and she's been ringing up every day to check on him because she loves him to death now. And I think we were supposed to get it in 10 days, but she just rang up on a lunch break saying, I just want to tell you immediately so you can come down.
Oh, mate, that's
they're
great
all benign.
news.
So, yeah, 5 more years of Ari. This dog has to be immortal, because I tell you what, I was ready to fucking blow a gasket this week. So with that said, this week we are looking at the pickup game as a brief synopsis.
We are.
Away from the positives of life right now. So this is the industry that teaches men, we're predominantly men, I'm assuming. We didn't see too many females giving positive statements about it, other than one of the coaches that we had interviewed that did something very different.
So let me I'll do the run-in. So the name is The Pickup Game. It's from the year 2021. The provider was Vimeo, but we'll get to that in a second. The directors, they were brothers, right? I know we met them.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So it was Matthew O'Connor and Barnaby O'Connor. And
one of them's in Italy right now, so this is the most international our podcast has ever been this week.
And Matthew, Barnaby, and a chap called James Littlewood were the writers. There's no details on the money, although they do touch on the money in the interview, and it's really interesting. There's no accolades that I can find as of yet. And here's the blurb. 4 years in the making and the result of an in-depth undercover investigation, The Pickup Game is an inside look at the emergence of the pickup industry, a world where self-styled seduction coaches travel the globe, charging a small fortune to teach men skills they claim will guarantee success with women.
Just quickly, Matt, right? Because we're not. There's bits that I wasn't able to talk about in the interview because they took their art seriously. But there was a moment of one of the instructors, and it's almost worth seeing this. So there's one instructor who's an absolute cock, who's called Marcus Nero, a.k.a. Justin Wayne, which I'm going to guess neither are real names. I wouldn't have my real name if I acted like him. He's one of the biggest cocks we've ever seen on a documentary.
Blimey, that's 100 documentaries we've watched. Or over, and it's he's your biggest
so
cock.
dislikable. No. I said one of.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right, like abducted in plain sight and other people. I mean, at least Bob Durst looks like you'd have a coffee with him in a joint. But this guy was a fucking nightmare. But there was one of the instructors, and you see like footage of them like talking to these guys, and he's teaching them how to lean against a wall to get a woman to come over to him, and it's one of those moments when you realise that you're paying $25,000 a year to be a part of these things, and there's a guy, he's literally like at a right angle going, hey, just come here, check this on my phone. And then they're over, then you've got them. Okay. It's fucking deplorable behaviour. You see, I believe it's Ross Jeffries is like the founder of it all, and you see him on the talk shows in the past. That's some interesting footage. And it's all interspliced with one guy on the street who's kind of like, if you've ever been through Piccadilly, Leicester Piccadilly, and they're trying to get you into shows, or someone in Zante trying to get you to go into a shot bar.
Yeah.
He's like that, but what he's selling is his phone number, and it's it's demoralising.
And basically, it all comes basically the documentary. So first of all, how we watched it, they very kindly contacted us, which from an ego point of view blew the pair of us away. And it was off the back of...
For a marketing point of view for them, it probably blows them away as well.
The fact they found us, right?
I guess all those women who send us topless pics saying they can help us with our search engine optimization weren't lying.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of those currently. So they said, yeah, look, here's a link to Vimeo. And I've never used Vimeo before. And because I'm the geek of the gang, I checked it out just to make sure it could work. I didn't know I'd set a clock going, so we only had 24 hours left to watch it. So by the time Rick got to watch it, he had to pay to watch it. So, which made me feel better, because I was like, I feel like we're taking a bribe here.
The thing is, it wasn't a bad documentary in the
really
slightest.
Good. It was horrible in a good way. Like a good documentary should be, right? It makes you think. It makes you question stuff. It makes you uncomfortable. You're not sitting there going, oh, this is they're grooming dogs. Isn't this brilliant? It wasn't any of that nonsense. It was horrible, manipulative people preying on the weak, basically.
Yeah, they were grooming incels, is what they were doing.
That's exactly what they were doing. And it comes from, so there's a chap called Neil Strauss, who is an author, and his book that made it big is called The Game. And basically, he went as an undercover reporter. He went into the pickup industry and wrote a book on it. And effectively, this book, sadly, has become the Bible of how to pick up women and what you must do. And on the interview, I was saying, listen, one of my friends was really into this industry.
Oh, they're going to hear that. That's part of this episode. Because not only that, we also asked our partners when we were checking the tech, and fuck me did we put the cat amongst the pigeons when we didn't explain what the documentary was. And that was an hour of, Matt said the wrong thing.
Basically, it was meant to be a 5-minute sound check. So it was me, my missus, Rick's lass, and Rick.
And the thing is, I know what triggers our lass. I know exactly the way that's going to go. And the minute you said that, I had to sit back in my chair and go, well, this is 45 minutes devoid of fucking fun. Because there is a point about to be made.
And the weird thing is, that one where they tore into
Which is
me.
rightly so, but they never saw the documentary, and Matt just described it wrong. Matt described the documentary as this is how you pick up women, and she's like, well, I think that's disgusting for this, which is absolutely right, but that's not what the documentary was about.
Yeah. And in the end, after basically, I was like a mouse and them two were the cats, and I was like a baby seal, and they were like killer whales, and they were bouncing me between them. And then in the end, Rick came in and he went, actually, Matt made a mistake. He missed out these 5 key words that are really important. And they both went, oh, okay then. And we didn't get any of that footage because that test got all screwed up, which is why we test in the first place.
Which we don't need that at all. We don't. God bless them. And it was our last great crack. But I was literally looking, going, if I message Matt to shut the fuck up, will it come up on their screens?
Yes, it would.
It'll seem like there's a cabal between me and Matt about. Oh, they're talking. So this, without going too much far into it, because I recommend you watch it. What score would you give this one, Matt? Oh, spoiler alert, it turns out some of the instructors were, spiking women and then abusing them.
It's horrible.
It's it's fucking brutal.
And just to, before we get to the scores, I just want to tell you who Minnie is. So she's the lady on the interview. So there's 2 blokes, Barnaby and Matthew. Barnaby's the one in Italy, right? Yeah. And yeah, because it was Matthew. We had the problems between Matthew and Matthew. And Minnie Lane is a dating and personal development coach. And effectively, she got involved with the industry. She was the person who blokes were testing chatting to as a test. And then she went, this is all wrong. This is not how you form meaningful relationships. And that's who she is. And I felt uncomfortable watching it. And the fact that they didn't represent my friend's side, who was really into it and is a nice bloke and isn't misogynistic in any way. I mentioned that on the interview and
several times.
But basically, I think what we'll do in future is we'll get Rick to do the questions, and I'll just sit there and look pretty. I think that's all we learned.
Yeah. Okay. So about the assault in 1998, West Ham signed Paolo Di Canio, and I'd eaten some grapes.
Oh mate. Yeah, but they were bloody nice chaps, and
it was really cool for nerds of documentaries.
Cool.
It was really cool,
yeah.
And it really puts. It's a bit like what we talked about with Andrew Jarecki, who still hasn't got back in touch with us.
Yeah, what's up with that guy? Maybe he's going to do a Jinx 2, and he might give us a shout.
If one of us disappears, he's just sitting along next to one of us, waiting to fucking fart. So to put the actual human practical experience of going on this, because Porges was a fucking super smart and charismatic guy, but like, I think it's different what these guys had to put themselves through to go into these places, to record them, to see the seminars, even just to be along fucking Justin Wayne or Nero or whatever 90s movies reference he gets while he talks about dominating pussy. So like, just even to go and fucking do that shit, it puts a different slant on the physical side, plus the side of getting it financed, distributed. That's all still in limbo when we spoke to them.
Yeah, that was absolutely fascinating. What I absolutely loved about the interview was when you geeked out and you went, "Sorry, I have a really geeky question. How did you get the 911 tapes? How did you get this?" and they go into all of that and all of Rick's geeky questions that he's been asking me for years. They all get answered. It was beautiful. It was like, that's how it works. So it's set up punch. Now it all makes sense.
See, all that from my memory has been scrubbed and is replaced with me sat in a van with my dog, watching people go into the vets with a dog and come back out with a lead crying, and then my fucking paddock doing that. So the main point of this intro is Ari's okay.
Yes.
And not enjoying having to be around the house. But right now, he's fine. I try to tell him that he's healthy. He's not impressed by that information. He wants to go for a walk.
Oh, is he not allowed out?
No. Honestly, I may even post some pictures along with this. But he is... Like, if he sneezes wrong, his lungs might drop out. He has had serious surgery. Like, 7 big lumps taken out of him that were deep tissue. Sent off for biopsy.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so... But the main thing is, he's all right, guys. Ricky is
Ricky, okay.
Ricky's in a good place again, because this would have got fucking dark very quickly.
Oh, that's good. That's put me in a good place as well. I've got one more thing to mention on this documentary. When I was watching the documentary at the time, I was listening to a book from 1874 called "Far from the Madding Crowd." Right, by
How to Get Chicks.
Women in Corsets. Is it a yes or a no? And it was written by Thomas Hardy, and I'm not going to spoil it because it is a fantastic book. I absolutely loved it.
Tom Hardy has been great with chicks throughout the ages.
Yes, he was born great. Yeah, he was. But basically, the male character, the lead male character, sees a woman. He quite fancies her. He walks up to her and says, "Hello, I think we should get married." And she's like, "Well, I'm very flattered. May I consider it?" How have we gone from that?
And then he started negging her.
Yeah. And how have we gone from that to men then going, "I need a course on how to talk to women so I can get them into bed"? It's in 130 years. It seems like, 150 years, we've devolved completely somehow. And I know women have got a lot more rights and all of that. And I'm all for that. But men somehow seems to have lost the art of, "Hello, should we get married then?"
No,
Where did that go wrong?
People have found out a way to make money from it. Now, if you had these pickup artists back in 1800s, 1700s, I don't know, my history's really bad, but the time of serfs, and you got the guys of leprosy, and they go, "This is how you lean against the wall," and their shoulders are falling off. And be like, "Hey, look," and then show her the potato, and then she's yours. Just get her back to the flat. It's just fine, And then you just always be closing. Just look through her. If she says you had a boyfriend, just look through her. She's not even a fucking person. Tell her friend's hot, and then say what? Okay, it's fucking deplorable, the behaviour of some of these fucking instructors.
It really is. But listen, and it is a tale as old of time, right? We've constantly, how do we get the opposite sex into bed? Because most of us, some people are blessed and they know, but most of us haven't got a clue, and then they're preyed upon. It's it was sad. Anyway, I'll give you my score. That was a long down view of that. I'm going to give this a score of 5, not just because we met the directors and Minnie and all of that whole. I think we spoke for about 2.5 hours. I found that all fascinating, but as I said in the interview, I think people should have to watch this in school around the age of 15 and 16 and go, "This is not how you do it, lads." Especially not just, and women, this is what you need to look out for, right? Because a lot of men, it's just tricking you into bed. And I don't know, it as a bloke, it just made you feel shit, didn't it? I mean, I haven't done anything wrong, but I feel dirty just because I've got a penis. That's how it felt.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Tom Hardy, our lass has voiced a recent crush on Tom Hardy. So to try and be an enlightened boyfriend and cool with that, I am going to surprise her with a Venom mask.
I'm just going through my notes to see if I picked up anything.
I gotta be honest, since we've done this amount of time, we're just gonna wrap it up and chuck it to the interview and hope for the best. Pal, this is a 3-hour fucking episode.
God, it's gonna be massive, isn't it? And if you get a chance, the film we mentioned in it is Magnolia, which is Paul Thomas Anderson. It's a superb film. That is groundbreaking, and the Tom Cruise character in that plays a pickup artist. Again, which we briefly touch on. Right, what was your score, Rick?
I'm giving it a solid 4. Good documentary, very
sweet,
good documentary. Unfortunately, there was it's because if you don't have the thing, it doesn't have that jinx moment of the guy burping. No. It wasn't like the narrative. It's not a shock. Some of these people are now arrested on sexual offences at all. Yeah. Like you can imagine, I would put all these instructors on a list and just go through their internet history and they'll be fine. Yeah. There is but it does have a good growth from the guy who started it to the finish. We'll get into that in the interview. But yeah, like I say, I do think it's important viewing just to show what behaviour looks like.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Because although never been a pickup bar, like never been in that fucking world, there is things that have filtered through, and guys think it's just part of the lexicon or part of the rhetoric to get women, and when you see it done like that, it shows it for its like tacky fakeness that it is.
Yeah, and
If that helps.
it's not a game. That's the thing, right? It's not a game. I tell you what else is worth watching is Black Mirror. There's a John Harmon episode with Ralph Spall, where he plays a pickup artist in it. John Harmon as a teacher.
You almost had me. I thought you were going to say Timothy Spall. It's like Barry from Halfway to Seen Pet's a pickup artist. I'm leaving this. I don't care if it's not Barry. I'm not Barry Taylor. I'd fucking love to see Barry Taylor as a pickup artist.
No, it's John Harmon. It's the pickup artist trainer. The Rolf Spall character is completely different. It's one of the. It's still in my head. It's still going around my head.
I've seen it. Do you know what? I have seen it because doesn't he die or get murdered on camera when they're all watching it or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
all right. So check that out as well.
That's well worth it. Right. So that's a healthy 9. Definitely watch it. We don't know where it's going to be shown. Just you'll find it if you want to see it, and it is worth watching. So are we going to?
And when we find out, we will post a link. Like I say, these guys, they're cool as fuck, and I look forward to the next thing they're doing. We're gonna follow these through because they make a decent documentary, and very very insightful, and more than anything, just couldn't be more grateful that they sort us out, the management team that found us, and for doing it.
Yeah, so I don't know if we said it on the interview, but thanks very much if you do listen to this.
I think that's a good hour and a half of it when we ran out of things to ask, when I wasn't allowed to comment on Marcus Nero.
Do you know what I realised when we done that interview, and the same with Seth Porges, the Class Action Park one? I've completely spoilt you. Because you're tuned into my funny bone, when you speak, I find you very funny. So you make me laugh. But when they don't laugh on the interview, you're like, what's going wrong here then?
Oh, sorry. What you mean is my life every day. Yeah, that's any job I've ever had, any classroom I've ever been in, any fucking driver and instructor I've ever had, any fucking anything is. Why is he talking about this? It's because I don't feel comfortable unless you're laughing. Okay, that's the way I am.
So when they didn't laugh at some of your stuff, and I'm sitting there fucking pissing my pants, I'm like, that was very funny, guys. You're not picking up on the man bun stuff.
Also, and I think this is true for our listeners, because when we have a listener listen to a bunch of episodes, they tend to stay with us. It takes a while to get used to how I talk.
Maybe, yeah.
And I'm not very clear to understand, which has held me back as a public speaker for around about 12 years. At some point, I will learn how to enunciate, but other than that, you just kind of get used to it and fill in the blanks by the beginning and the end of the sentence. So thank you to our listeners as well for sticking with us, because I know it's not easy.
He does mumble a lot. It's easier to listen to you this way than it is in real life.
Aye.
Yeah. Well, it's because I've got subtitles turned on Facebook Messenger. That's why it's a lot easier.
Just says Saudi takeover, #, exclamation mark, question mark. Right, but anyway, without further ado, this is our interview with the makers of the pickup game.
Okay. Cheerio.
Thank you very much.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.